They buried a dead person. He was on Indian. And I saw the person buried. No, we were.
Thank you guys for coming here today. This is a beautiful day. So this is now the permanent resting place of Massasoit. So we think. We don't know exactly because we couldn't do DNA on his bones, but there were things that were found here when this was a burial ground that led us to believe that they belonged to Massasoit's grave. Things that were ceremonial, beads and things like that. So they have all been put back here because they were taken out 100 years ago by the railroad company, which dug out this whole hill here for gravel to build the railroad. Back then, they didn't care that these were Native American graves, so they just dug them up. But we had a guy here in town who worked at the library who helped pull these artifacts away from the railroad company as they were going through the dirt. And so many of those items, over 600 items, have been reburied right under this rock permanently in a big cement box, which you'll see a picture of in your picture thing there. So now it's back here.
Some of those items are like this arrowhead.
Is anybody a good reader? You are? You want to read this? You want to read it out loud to everybody? No? Who wants to do that?
I'm like 4th grade reading.
Yeah? You want to read this out loud? Okay, come on up.
Memories of his land.
Leah,
Sparked the fires of his spirit.
to come to speech this morning, so it'll just be the juniors and the seniors this afternoon.
To Wampanoag, Massasoit,
It's pronounced also Maitland. That was his name.
Yellow Feather, esteemed leader of the Wampanoag Nation, division and 1620
Upheld.
upheld 54 years of
Great job. Great job. So this is now forever here, so you can bring your friends and family to come see where Massasoit is
Hey, Lane, I'm
permanently buried now, and hopefully will never be dug up again.
See you later.
But there's also places in Warren that you can see other stuff. Has anybody ever been to his spring on Baker Street?
No.
Yeah, you have, right?
No.
So there's a rock, it's about this big, where there's a plaque, and it shows where Massasoit's spring was, and that's where he camped. And up until about 100 years ago, you could still go and get water out of the spring, but they capped it off. But they put a beautiful plaque there to honor his memory of his camp, because he was a friend of the white man. There's also Hugh Cole's well. You guys go to the Hugh Cole Elementary?
Yeah.
Well, do you know his well?
Yeah.
You've been out to his well? That's nice. It's not far from the school. You can walk there. And it's where Hugh Cole was the very first settler of Warren. He's the very first person to buy land from the native Wampanoags. And he had to leave during the war, but when he came back, he started a farm about where the middle school is and dug his well out behind the school, and it's still there to this day. And you can go and see that and sit by it by the river.
I went to
How many of you have been to the George Hale Library? Awesome.
Wait, what is it?
Our library in Warren.
George Hale.
And how many of you have been upstairs to the museum? Wow, awesome. So what's being passed out now is a coloring book of items that are in our museum upstairs in the library. Things like stone axes, and there's a mask, and some really interesting stuff, old pots and things. So you can take this home with you as well and color it whenever you want. Any more?
Stop it.
So if you lived here a few hundred years ago, would this be a good place to live? You were a Native American and you were living here. Would Warren be a nice place to live?
We need to pay attention.
Yeah, what do we have here? Why would it be a good place to live? Yeah, Massasoit was carried here. What did they eat?
Yeah, we ran out of that.
What did people eat? Huh?
What?
Anybody else need coloring?
What could they get out of the river here? Thank you. It's fish, right? What else? Anybody ever dug for clams? Yeah. Frogs, right, crab. I don't know how many of those you would eat, yeah? Lobster, right. So there were a lot of good things to eat right nearby. Yep. They lived in what's called reaches, and those were small portable houses that they could move around from place to place. Sometimes they would live here in the summer, and then other times they would move inland during the winter. Like deer, okay. Yeah, what else?
And you just did.
What is that? Pigs. Well, the Europeans brought pigs, and the native people who lived here didn't have pigs, and they didn't like the native, the English pigs, because they would eat all their crops. What would the Native Americans grow here to eat?
I'm so tired.
Bears, they might eat a bear or two, but mostly deer and small animals. Okay. But they could grow corn and squash.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, and beans. Okay.
So this is an arrowhead, okay? And these were made by hand out of a piece of stone, and they were very carefully chipped. And they're very specifically designed and built so that you would put it on a piece of wood, on a stick, and you would tie it. These little notches right here are so that you could tie it onto the piece of stick and create an arrow with a bow and arrow, and that's how you would hunt, and that's how you could eat. So that's what this is. And they're all over New England in the ground from thousands of years of the natives hunting. This is a clay pipe, or the remnants of a clay pipe. It would have had a long piece out here that the English used to smoke tobacco. So that's what this is. Yes.
I found like 6 of those arrowheads.
Wow, what are you?
Around here?
I did.
Yeah, where did you find it? In your backyard. See that? All right. Do you live in Warren? Yeah. So you heard him say that he found some arrowheads in his backyard. That tells you that there were lots of people living around here. You may be living in a place that other people lived for a long, long time.
Yes? Wow.
You have a real boner. You hunt with it?
Well, they go back. The design of them is thousands of years old, and these can be found around here that can be literally 10,000 years old. So I don't know how old this one is, but some people can date them by the way they're made. Guys have any questions?
So when you're around town, look around. There's some street names, like Kickamuit is a Native American name.
Sachem,
yeah.
Metacom.
And of course Massasoit.
No, that was named after an English person.
No?
Me and him used to live on that.
You used to live on Metacom.
There you go.
I still live on
I still live on
Metacom.
Yes?
Now you know that's an Indian name.
There you go. You live on Metacom. There's a lot of Indian names in Warren still here.
And if you ever leave town up on Market Street, I don't know if you know where Market Street is, but that goes up into Rehoboth and Swansea. And when you cross the line right near Johnson's Market, you'll see a big rock that sits up on top of another rock, a big boulder. And it's on top of a flat rock. You'll see it when you drive by. Okay? That rock is called King's Rock, and it was a place where Native Americans used to grind their corn on the rock, and they used to have big bonfires there because that's a hill that you can see all around, especially when the leaves are off the trees. So that was a place called Wigwam Hill that they used to gather.
So, have you guys ever been to Plymouth Plantations?
Yes.
Well, if you go there now, it used to be just the English village, right? You know, with the thatched roof huts and all of that.
Yeah.
Now they've added a Wampanoag village, a real, exact copy of a native Wampanoag village. And there's actually living Wampanoags that stay there and greet you as you walk into that village and tell you all about the life that they lived here. And they'll show you their homes and how they built canoes and how they cooked and everything. So if you ever go, make sure you go to the Wampanoag village at Plymouth Plantations. It's really amazing to go there and see it. And you will get the feeling of how they used to live right here in Warren. So, I guess that's about it. I don't know what else to say. Thank you, guys.
All right, guys.
Have a great day.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You're very welcome.